I'm Brittany.
I'm Azeiza.
I'm Macey.
I'm Addy.
And I'm Julia.
And this is Sleepover at Your Mom's House podcast, the pop culture podcast where we discuss early 2000s cinema.
Streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
Today we'll be starting off with Uptown Girls, an early 2000s movie starring Brittany Murphy, who plays Molly, and Dakota Fanning, who's Ray. Molly is a 22-year-old ex-trust fund baby who was previously living off her deceased father's rockstar funds, until one day her manager steals her fortune. This leads to her finding a job as a nanny to Ray, an uptight 8-year-old, where together they can learn to act their age.
So now we're going to start with some questions. Number one is, who's your favorite character and why?
Well, I would have to say Molly's my favorite character. She's like if Paris Hilton had a soul. Like all the luxury and all the money in the world, but she's still a decent person on the inside.
Oh, that's a really good explanation, honestly.
And she's a fun girl.
No, I get that. I want to say the same, but for a different reason. I just think she's, like, super bubbly. Like, I feel like nothing really, not that nothing gets to her, but, like, it just seems like she's always having that optimistic outlook no matter what until, you know, towards the end. But, you know, like, at the beginning, she's just so happy.
I think my favorite character was probably Ray, just because of all that she's been through, and you understand why she's so uptight and stuff, but then she learns to let herself be free, and I really like seeing her character arc, especially since she's so young, and I think Dakota Fanning did an excellent job playing her.
I have to agree. I think my favorite character is Ray. I definitely, like, at the beginning, I'll be honest, I didn't really like either one of them, and I was like, am I going to like this movie at all? But they grew on me. Both of them did. But by the end of it, I really thought that Ray, like, just her being such a young girl and having her dad be in a coma, like, that I could understand. Then I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. Like, her mom is completely absent. She is struggling with all of these things alone, has horrible OCD, and when she was like, I've been seeing a therapist since I, like, was out of the womb, basically, like, then I could really, like, relate to her, and I was like, this is just a small little girl, and even though she tries to act so grown up, she just needs some love and attention.
Yeah, Ray does have some good one-liners, too.
That's true. She is ruthless. Absolutely ruthless.
Yeah. I love when she says, it's a harsh world.
True.
Oh, man, so no one's favorite character was Neil? What a shocker.
No.
Oh, my God, Neil.
He's the worst.
Okay, moving on to the next question. What do you think about the fashion in this movie?
I cannot stress to you how badly I want her, like, in the beginning, the, like, jean long skirt with all the different patches of, like, florals and butterflies. It was just, like, I was never a girly girl growing up, but seeing that as, a kid to my adult life, I was like, that still holds. I would give anything for that.
No, yeah, I'm obsessed with those overalls. Like, I don't know if you guys are, like, know the website, like, Cider or whatever, and how they have the 13 going on 30 dress. If they brought those overalls in, I would 100% be getting them. They're so cute, and they kind of remind me of, like, the Natural Life, like, brand, with, like, the little, like, butterflies and flowers. I don't know, I'm just really into them.
What a pop culture moment.
Yeah. I loved the dress she wore at her birthday party because it was so pretty and free-flowing, and I feel like it really spoke to her personality. And I feel like people could wear it today and it would still look good.
Oh, yeah, with the lampshade in her hair.
Maybe not the lampshade. Maybe not that.
I loved her hair during a lot of it. Like, I thought she had some really cute hairdos that I was like, oh, I need to try that. Like, I don't know. You don't always see that a lot in movies. Like, I feel like a lot of times, like, characters' hair just, like, stays the same pretty much. But they did a lot with her hair.
And did you guys also notice as, like, the movie progressed and it got darker, like, her wardrobe also got darker? Like, it wasn't as, like, childlike and freeing like it was in the beginning. Like, she was slowly... I mean, there was a funeral in the end, so of course she wore black.
Fair.
But, like, I felt like they had such a swap in, like, costumes and stuff where, like, Ray was finally, like, free to get out of those, like, plaid skirts and vests and stuff, and she was, like, in the fun butterfly tutu and stuff, and, like, expressing her, like, actual kid side the way that Molly always did.
I didn't even think of it like that, but that makes so much sense. Look at you, rhetorical
I took
analysis.
one film class, what can I say?
Okay, moving along to, do you think that this movie is an accurate representation of the early 2000s film culture?
would have to say, yeah, because, like, it, like, the Mean Girls and, like, 13 Going on 30, like, there were such, like, moments in this storyline where, like, it, like, made me want to grow up with excitement and be like, that's it. You know, 22, when I'm old, I can't wait to be, like, going to parties and, like, having fun and, like, figuring out, like, my purpose of, like, designing funky clothes or whatever it is that you do. Like, it gave me such an excitement into, like, growing up and getting older that I was like, this is gonna, like, movies do that. They, like, stay with you, you know?
No, yeah, that makes sense. I think it is an accurate representation. You know, this is, like, my first time seeing it. So, like, just seeing that and, like, my favorite movie from that time is, like, 13 Going on 30. Like, I am obsessed with that movie. I watch it, like, once a month to feel something. Like, obsessed with that movie, right? So, I don't know. I just, like, thinking of, like, the fashion and the hair and, like, also just, like, the arching, like, storylines in it. I don't know. Both of them kind of just, like, reminded me of each other. And that's, like, just, like, my 2000s movie that I think of every time. So I'm like, if it doesn't live up to this, is it a 2000s movie? You know what I mean? But yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that, especially considering all the fashion and stuff. But one point is how centralized female friendship is, because I feel like movies like that and like Legally Blonde, with her friendship with Vivian, I think her name was.
Yeah.
And there's just so many early 2000s movies where they try to push female friendship, and I feel like this movie has that, and it did it in such a nicely done way.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Probably one of my favorite things from this movie that is one of the reasons why I like 2000 movie film culture so much is, like, the stupid humor and, like, the stupid one-liners. Like, probably my favorite scene from the whole movie that just had me and my roommate laughing, like, dying of laughter, was when she was like, Pez. Like, I was like, you're, what the hell? But it was just so funny. Like, that just, you don't really see that kind of, like, stupid humor anymore, like, in movies nowadays.
True.
I mean, just, like, you have Dumb and Dumber, too, from, like, the, I think, 1990s, I'm pretty sure. And that was, like, one of my, like, I'm a huge stupid humor person. Like, it, just light, funny, feel good.
Grown Ups
Yeah.
1 and 2. The best.
Okay, so this question also goes with the last question, and it's, how do you think this movie represented 2000s pop culture?
Oh, geez, what a loaded question. I mean, I think, oh my gosh, I don't know. What do you think, Macey?
Well, I don't know either, just because, like, you know, when early 2000s, we were, like, what, 3, 4, 5, like, type of deal? So, like, I think when this movie came out was, what, 2003, 2002?
2002, I think.
Okay, so 2 years old. I'm trying to think of, like, everything, like, we know about, like, pop culture then, and I don't know, I think, like, you know, when you're younger, you're like, I'm gonna be dating a movie star, and, like, you know how she's literally dating someone who's about
I'm gonna be famous.
I'm gonna be famous, guys. I'm gonna be a famous swimmer, like, but yeah, I don't know. I think just, like, that part alone just, like, represented it so well, because I feel like a lot of movies at that time was like, I'm gonna be famous. 13 Going on 30. I'm going to be a famous, like, magazine editor. Like, I don't know. I just think emphasis on famous.
I think the way that it strays from a lot of the movies that were going on during that time of, like, there's such an emphasis on, like, rom-coms, like the love story, like, oh, it's gonna fall apart, but they're gonna come together in the end, and they're gonna love each other no matter what he does. And granted, let me tell you, Neil did some effed up stuff in this movie.
He was a red flag.
He was
a walking red flag.
She broke his sobriety. Like, that was so, like, glazed over, like, oh, he doesn't hook up with people, and it's like, oh, because he has morals, and it's like, no, he's sober. Like, he has issues, and, like, he ignores her when she falls on her face. And, like, she does combat that in the end, and she was like, you weren't there for me. Like, you need to stop getting stuff from me and, like, realize that. And I think it was, like, gives this movie more of an empowering edge because it had such an emphasis on the female relationships that we said earlier. But, like, especially between Ray and Molly, like, they really grew up with each other. And, like, I think that kind of is what makes it alternate from the other movies. True. Because there's such a storyline of, like, no, this is for women and by women kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And it was also interesting how they did focus on mental health a little bit, because they both had kind of that trauma bond of their parents being absent, and then, you know, Ray's dad is dying, her parents died. So I thought that was interesting. And then especially with Ray having like OCD and like talking a little bit about how she sees therapists. Like I wish they'd unpack that a little bit more.
And Roma being the worst parent on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
She's
God.
dealing with the death just fine. She's already doing homework. Obviously, she's fine.
Yeah. No, she really brushed over that. But I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. But I could understand, especially in the time that it was out, like we didn't even, most of those movies from the 2000s did not touch those topics at all.
Also, even if they did touch on it, it was like still kind of taboo, you know what I mean? Like, whereas now, like, we're openly talking about therapy, we're openly talking about like our mental health like struggles, and so I think like even barely touching on it was still really influential, like on pop culture at that time.
Yeah.
Moving along, do you think that fashion and pop culture are repeating itself in today's era?
Oh, absolutely. The butterfly clips in the hair, the low-rise jeans, which is the worst thing to ever happen to us, but they're coming back. And like, what is it, tube tops and halter tops? They're everywhere. Like, you can't go to Forever 21 or like Shein or wherever you buy clothes from without seeing like a million of these designs like coming back, but they'll be cycled through and gone again in 5 minutes.
True. I think like, I'm just thinking of like low-rise jeans, my plumber's crack showing. Like, I just could not rock those. But like, everyone who can, power to you.
Power to you. God
because
bless.
I freaking wish. But no, I think we're like definitely seeing. I think it's definitely on the fashion side. Like, I'm trying to think of pop culture and fashion go together.
Paris Hilton's here forever. She just got married.
She's here to stay. Like,
yeah.
until she hits the grave, she's here.
And neither the Kardashians as well.
Yeah, I think something really big in the early 2000s was reality TV, whether that be Jersey Shore or like MTV Cribs and stuff. So I think that's also coming back from the early 2000s, and the fashion, like you guys said, especially if you go on sites like Depop. Oh my God. You will find a little crop top and someone will be selling it for $50 and it's literally a kid size and they're like, Y2K. So
Y2K vintage.
Yeah.
No, and vintage especially, Macey, like, so many of those clothes that she was wearing, I'm like, I would definitely see that in a thrift store nowadays. Or like, I could patch that up, put some cute little peace sign, rainbow patches on those jeans, and they'd be perfect.
Yeah,
yeah,
a peace and love sign.
Hey, peace and love, everybody. Peace and
Especially
love.
with like Coachella just happening. The amount of like little crop tops with like a butterfly rhinestone on the front. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
Or even the one that was like all rhinestones and had like the literally string back that people were tying, and everyone's like top was breaking. Like, I saw a TikTok of one girl's top literally falling off and she was like, oh my God. And then she had to get like a Coachella t-shirt and she looked like her style was completely off-putting after that. But yeah.
Okay. The last question is, did you enjoy this movie and what would you rate it out of 10 and why?
Well, I was one of the people who had this like movie growing up. Like, my mom showed it to me when I was a kid. So like, I've like this next to like Coyote Ugly and like 13 Going on 30, which we've talked about, Legally Blonde. Like, these movies made me a person. So like, of course I love this movie. Looking back on it, there are some red flags and that's fine. But I would have to rate this a generous 8.5 out of 10.
Wow.
I know that's,
okay.
I think that's a lot, but that's a lot of like childhood stuff stuck to it too. So it's not the quality movie. Like, Sheets of Egyptian Cotton is a bop, and that's like the best thing to come out of this movie. But you know, I have to.
No, that's generous.
I think it's pretty generous. If you give it a 4, I'll understand.
No, I mean, honestly, I would rate it above a 4. Okay, first time, right? It was my first time watching this. I'm trying to think. You know, I loved like 50 First Dates, like all of the rom-coms. So I think like having that powerful switch of like them still being homies in the end, and like Neil's kind of like me. I think we all agreed that everybody hates Neil.
Oh,
like
100%.
What a douchebag. Freaking hated him. I would give this movie a 6. I think. I would say it's very average, but it's like something that is like super lighthearted and that I can go back to, even though the death stuff, that was pretty heavy. But like, overall pretty lighthearted.
But that's what made me like it watching it again as an adult, because I haven't seen this movie in like years, because you don't rewatch until you forget about it
Right.
a little. But like the seriousness of the topics going in, like the spinning around like Coney Island and the teacups, like it was such a like cultural moment in my childhood to be like, oh no, like it's okay to like be who you are as a person no matter what anyone thinks. And that's where the 2.5 extra points come from. I promise.
No,
I
well,
also rated a 6.
I feel like the nostalgia you have tied to it is like very well deserving of the 8.5.
Oh yeah, the clothes, the hair, the one line. My favorite line was like, "I'll live off water and sunshine," and I was like, exactly, that's what I'm gonna do.
And that's what I do
Bills
in the
don't
summer.
matter.
So it was my first time watching the movie, and I think I would give it a 5 or a 6. I did enjoy it, but I don't think I loved it as much as I do movies like Legally Blonde or like Easy A, also from the early 2000s. I just had a few problems with like pacing and just certain characters, but it was a nice movie, and I did enjoy Sheets of Egyptian Cotton.
It was also my first time watching the movie. Like I said earlier, definitely did not like it at the beginning. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be making it through this. Like, I definitely thought it started out pretty slowly. And, like, both of the characters, I was like, I don't really relate to either of them right now. Like, not really vibing with this. But then, probably about 45 minutes in, that's when I was like, starting to get in the rhythm with this, starting to enjoy it a little bit more. And then I loved the fashion, of course, throughout all of it. And Sheets of Egyptian Cotton, really, that was a fabulous song. Like, he sucked as a singer, but honestly, that was really creative. I was not expecting that. Like, it was a huge curveball for me. But I probably would give it a 5.5.
Okay,
That's
I have
fair.
a follow-up question for you, Julia. Okay. Would you say that Sheets of Egyptian Cotton would go on your 2022 playlist? I guess this is for everybody. All right, let's think of the song, right?
Na, 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 na.
Come on.
I 100% think this song would blow up on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It
for
would be
sure.
Who's
so
bringing
big
it
on
back, guys?
TikTok.
Who's bringing it back?
Oh my gosh. Literally every time I see Azeiza now, since we've been working on this project, I think of Sheets of Egyptian Cotton, honestly. Like, literally. Like, it's stuck in my head. It's
Yeah.
really catchy.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's relatively a good
It's
song.
catchy.
Good
It's
summer
catchy.
song. Like, I think the beat, like Egyptian Cotton, nice and cool, and that's what you want to have on a hot summer day.
You guys know the song that's like on TikTok right now? It's like, I got my head out the sunroof, da 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 da. Yeah, that's the song. Like, I don't know why, but I immediately thought like lighthearted fun. Sheets of Egyptian Cotton.
Yeah, I actually have a question for everybody.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite quote from the movie? If you can remember any. Significant or memorable or just funny quotes.
I already said mine. Living off water and sunshine, man.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I'm trying to think. I really liked, it was something that Molly said when she was talking, like she was about to be fired, right? And she was like, like, I know this child better, blah, 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 blah. I just liked how she really stood up for Ray. I can't think of it.
She said something about like respect and stuff.
Something
she said
like
next
that.
time you respect her, think about like her feelings or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just thought that was a really, really like empowering moment, especially. And then it kind of showed like Ray's mom. What was her name again?
Romy?
Roma.
Roma.
Ugh, of course.
It just like, I think Roma was kind of like, oh shit, like true. So that's, I don't know, I just really liked that part.
And that's really when like Molly like first stood up for herself.
Yeah,
and
no, I
Ray.
agree.
Do you have one?
Pez. Pez. Pez.
What's yours, Azeiza?
Okay. So it's when Ray got into a fight with somebody in her class. Excuse my cursing.
Oh my
but
gosh,
Molly
yes.
asked her why she was fighting her, and she said it's never okay for violence. And Ray says in an angry voice, her au pair called my nanny a slutbag whore. And then Molly jumps in and starts fighting the nanny. And I just love that scene so much. I literally replayed it.
That's like the funniest scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
I
if you
love
look at
it.
the movie as a whole, like I understand my rating is too high, but that's just favoritism. But like if you look at pieces of the movie, there are some good hits
Yeah.
in it.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Do you hear that? Your mom's calling, and we gotta go.